The number 3 Texas Longhorns face the number 12 Oklahoma Sooners this Saturday at the Cotton Bowl. What makes the Sooner offense so successful? Why is the Sooner defense much improved? And most importantly, how does Texas stay undefeated versus a talented rival? After the show, Inside Texas is the best destination to stay up to date on your favorite team. Insightful pre- and post-game analysis, recruiting updates, and behind-the-scenes info is dropping daily. Make sure to subscribe to InsideTexas.com today. Link in the description. Both teams handled their end of the bargain, showing up ranked and undefeated. There's national implications on the line, and it's time to see who's going to come out on top. Without further ado, let's get into it. The Levy offense has great numbers. It's designed to. Fast-paced, quick throws with the shot over the top when that pace wears on you. The Oklahoma offense is 15th in the country in yards per play, and they stay on schedule ranking 12th in the nation for success rate. This offense is tough to stop once it heats up, but it can stall in a hurry when those quick throws or the occasional shots don't complete. Luckily, Oklahoma has a fifth-year senior quarterback in Dillon Gabriel that's been in the system for years, and he operates it at a high level. It's all about numbers outside and inside the box, and that means Gabriel has to make small decisions every play that add up over the game. 62% of his passes come from less than 9 yards or behind the line, forcing the defense to defend the entire field laterally, and Gabriel is ruthlessly efficient here. He has the shortest time to throw in the Big 12 at just 2.38 seconds per pass. The simplicity of the throws lead to an inflated completion percentage of 74.5%, good for second best in the Big 12. Getting your athletes to the ball in space allows for big play potential with very little risk, and that's displayed by Gabriel's third highest yards per attempt in the league. When OU does open up the offense in the intermediate game on about 22% of Dillon's throws, Gabriel struggles in that 10 to 19 yard range, ranking 9th in completion percentage. On tape, his deep ball can be inaccurate, but his receivers do a good job adjusting and fighting for it. He's still posted the highest completion percentage on passes over 20 yards in the Big 12, completing an impressive 59%. Gabriel doesn't throw deep often, only about 14% of the time for near the bottom of the league, but he does make them count, and his receivers can bail him out if it's not on the money. The offense doesn't do a lot of drop back stuff. Generally, they'll do split field reads where Gabriel is eyeing 2 receivers, then to a check down, and that's why he has a low average depth of target at just 9 yards for 12th in the Big 12. But teams falsely assume it's all about pressuring him when they do finally get him behind the sticks. He's a savvy quarterback that can bring the throw right behind that pressure, and his yards per attempt actually increases when you bring 5 or more guys. He's much more likely to just check it down if you don't try to go after him. The quick pacing paired with the RPO threat nullifies the pass rush and limits pressure, and that's why Gabriel has an awesome 5.6% pressure to sack rate. It also doesn't hurt that he's a good athlete as well. He can keep it on the design runs and pick you up yards when the pocket breaks down. So you can see how the scheme naturally gives Gabriel an advantage, but you pair that with his years of experience and you've got yourself the second-graded quarterback overall in the league. Is he a high draft pick? No, due to the arm limitations and small size, but he's great at executing that system. But in order to maximize this pass-happy offense, you're going to need talented receivers, and there's no shortage of those at OU. First in targets is slot receiver Drake Stoops. He's pulling in an impressive 83% of 30 targets for 25 catches and 4 touchdowns. He can catch those quick end breakers or work the middle of the field, settling behind zones with the most short targets on the team. Stoops is someone Gabriel relies on to move the chains. Overall, he's the 9th graded receiver in the Big 12. Then you've got the Michigan transfer and the 6'1", 190-pound boundary receiver and Andrell Anthony with 27 targets, pulling in 22 of those. He leads the team in receiving yards and he has an 8th best 17.1 yards per reception. He's the most likely to be targeted deep, pulling in 4 passes over 20 yards, and he can adjust well and fight for the ball. Anthony has emerged over the first 5 games as a key piece of this Sooner offense. Overall, he's the 6th graded receiver in the conference. The third most in targets is the 6'1", 208-pound field receiver Jaleel Farouk. The juniors only caught 15 of his 26 targets for a poor 58% catch rate. But the shifty Z receiver can hit you at any part of the field, leading the team with the most targets behind the line, at the intermediate range, and tied for the most deep targets. He's versatile, but he's not having the season he's capable of, ranked as the 23rd overall receiver. But with receiver as the strength of the team, there's still way more dudes beyond the starting three. Fourth in targets with 12 is a future star outside receiver and Nick Anderson. He's a 6'4", 207-pound fluid runner with excellent body control and hands. He's going to be the perfect deep threat due to that blend of size and speed, and expect to see him more and more this season. And if he gets subbed in, he's getting the ball deep. Double him. Anderson is the second graded receiver in the Big 12 as just a redshirt freshman. Fifth in targets is the second slot when they're in 10 personnel, and the 5'8", 185-pound sophomore, Gavin Freeman. He pops up a few times a game, but overall, he's the 27th graded receiver in the league. And then it just keeps going and going with guys like Jaquez Petaway with tremendous twitch, a big 6'5" athlete in Jaden Gibson, and crazy fast former Texas transfer Brennan Thompson. This room is deep, and they've got the right mix of body types and play styles. It's a really impressive group. And that's not even it. You've got the tight ends with Austin Stogner, who can line up in the slot in 11 personnel, but he hasn't been a major factor so far this year. And then the second tight end, Blake Smith, who comes in on their 12 personnel red zone type packages, who they like to leak out for the sneaky grab. Like I said, there's a lot of dudes that can catch the ball. That quick action offense, of course, benefits the offensive line holding up in pass pro, and it limits sacks. But if you look at true pass sets, throwing out all the quick stuff, you'll see this OU line is a good pass blocking unit, holding up well even during longer developing pass plays. They've got 3 players in the top third of the league. Left guard Troy Everett is the 3rd graded pass blocker. Center Andrew Rame is 4th. And left tackle Walter Rouse is 17th of 79 pass blocking Big 12 linemen. The only true weak link there is right guard McCade Metallier at 56th. This group has done a solid job, ranking as the second best line in pass blocking efficiency as a unit, with 2 earned sacks, 3 hits, and 17 hurries. The pass game is how this offense functions at a high level nationally, but the run game has been lacking across the board. The Oklahoma run game has been a major weakness of what has been an exciting offense. 76th in the nation in yards per rush, 50th in rushing success rate, and 102nd in rushing explosivity. It's just not gelling, and it's limiting an already prolific offense. They're one-dimensional right now. The ever-rotating cycle of backs rarely allows for a single ball carrier to find any rhythm, and the pace of the offense wears guys out, so they have to sub. The offense prioritizes short passes as extensions of the run, and that's to the detriment of their back's development. They'd rather a receiver get the quote-unquote carry on the perimeter. First in attempts for the Sooners is the 6', 219-pound redshirt senior Marcus Major. He's averaging a very bad 3.8 yards per carry, ranking 27th of 30 Big 12 backs. Major is struggling to do anything impressive with the ball in his hands, only averaging 2.7 yards after contact for 23rd in the league. He's just not making those wow plays and breaking off the long run. Currently, Major is the 16th graded running back in the league. Then you have Tawi Walker at 2nd in attempts with 38. The junior is built like a tank at 5'9", 216 pounds, with an abnormally low center of gravity and a thick lower body. He's tough to match up with one-on-one because it's hard to get low enough for the clean tackle, and he can run through guys. He leads the team in yards per attempt at 5.1, good for 13th in the league, and he can get those tough yards. The downside is those short legs limit his stride, with the 25th lowest breakaway percentage out of 30 Big 12 backs. Though he's not some big-name guy, the run game has more intensity and momentum when he's in the game. He's the highest graded Sooner running back currently at 9th in the Big 12. Now we get to the 2 players OU fans were hoping would be the primary duo due to the glimpses they showed in their first seasons last year, and it's not playing out like that so far. The 6', 207-pound sophomore Javante Barnes is 3rd in attempts and still nursing a toe injury. He's performing alright at 4.4 yards per carry for right at league average, but he's bottom half in yards after contact per attempt. Barnes is lacking the consistent ability to break tackles, but his athleticism does show from time to time with a 9th ranked 41% breakaway percentage. But overall, he's the 24th graded back in the Big 12. The runner fans were most excited for was the redshirt freshman Gavin Sawchuk due to his speed and big play ability. But he's also been limited and he's trying to get back to 100% after a hamstring injury about a month ago. On his low 17 carries, he's last in yards per attempt at 2.7, 26th in yards after contact per attempt, with a 0% breakaway percentage because he's had no runs over 10 yards. He's currently last in the Big 12 out of 31 backs. It's easy to see these numbers and say, well, OU just has bad running backs. But that position is so dependent on the factors surrounding them. I already mentioned how the scheme isn't truly dedicated to the run, and it shows. But backs need blockers. And the exterior of the line does okay on the edge, with left tackle Walter Rouse ranking 17th, and right tackle Tyler Guyton ranking 19th out of 79 Big 12 run blockers. But they struggle on the interior. The guys who need to pull on power, the guys who need climbing to the second level on zone runs. Center Andrew Rame ranks 36th, right guard McCade Metallier ranks 54th, and left guard Troy Everett, who stepped in when their starter Savion Byrd went down, ranks 69th of 79 Big 12 run blockers. The interior is struggling to get push, and it has downstream effects on the running backs. On top of that, OU likes 11 and 10 personnel, so there isn't even an added focus of utilizing heavy personnel often enough to help the group out. When they have Stogner and 11 personnel, he's only in line 40% of the time, so the tight end is more like a big receiver in this scheme. Due to these factors, the offensive line is 99th in the country in offensive line yards per rush and 3rd to last in the Big 12. This is a dangerous OU offense that, if allowed to get going, can snowball into a mass of points. But due to their lack of balance, they've had some sluggish offensive performances to match their high-scoring games. The Texas defense is stout against the run, only allowing 3.1 yards per attempt, good for 18th in the country. This matchup versus a struggling Oklahoma rushing offense favors Texas statistically. The Texas linebackers and secondary are athletic laterally, and they can get to screens and the quick end cuts, so Texas won't be out-athleted in that regard. But the OU receivers do a great job of blocking, so you have to be able to shed those blocks and take proper angles consistently. Texas overall has a good passing defense, only allowing 6.3 yards per pass, good for 27th in the nation. But I don't trust our safety speed matched up with quicker guys. Texas has an issue giving up the deep shot, ranking 111th in the nation for giving up the explosive pass. And this is where OU will have the opportunity to really test Texas. And the pass rush is pretty much neutralized with the scheme, but the OU line has been strong in protecting Gabriel so far. But they haven't faced this level of defensive line depth either. So it'll be interesting to see if Texas can get home while not letting Gabriel slip out when Oklahoma does decide to test those safeties deep. But as Texas fans, we're used to OU with a good offense. We've taken down Heisman quarterbacks and NFL receivers before in Dallas. The difference this year is Venables is making strides on the other side of the ball. But before we hit the defense, the sponsor of today's video is PrizePicks. PrizePicks is a skill-based daily fantasy sports app where you can make college football player projections all season long. How does it work? You select 2 to 6 players and choose more or less on their PrizePick projections. It could be passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards, and more. And if those players score more or less than their PrizePick projection, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. Just hop on the PrizePicks app or website, go to the college football tab, and check out the player projections. It's a smooth process where you can make your entries in 60 seconds or less with fast withdrawals. It's that easy. As a first-time depositor, use promo code TexasHomer, and you will receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. That's double your money up to $100 for your first time. So sign up for PrizePicks, use promo code TexasHomer at sign-up, and add even more excitement to your game day. Link in the description. Venables finally has his defense looking right, both in understanding of his scheme and adding quality depth. The Venables defense is a 4-3 core with that third linebacker being that nickel Sam hybrid. The defense can morph into a variety of fronts and coverages and put the quarterback's mind in the blender. On top of that, he's hyper aggressive, bringing the heat on 1st and 10, running various games on the defensive line, and sending either middle linebacker flying through the interior. It's a lot to process, and it can overwhelm offensive lines and quarterbacks. This aggression is what makes Venables' defense great, but if you time it right, he leaves himself open for the counterpunch. The run defense has done a good job, only giving up 3.2 yards per carry, good for 26th in the nation. On the defensive interior, they have 4 guys in the top half of run defense. Rotational nose Deshaun Terry ranks 5th. Starting defensive tackle Jacob Lacey ranks 8th. Starting nose Isaiah Coe ranks 11th. And rotational tackle Jordan Kelly ranks 16th of 49 interior run stoppers. On the edge, starting weak side end Ethan Downs ranks 6th, and starting strong side end Rondell Bothroyd ranks 10th of 47 edge run stoppers. On the second level, they have an elite run stopper and will linebacker Danny Stutzman playing like an old school thumper. Dude is down to hit with 20 tackles, 17 assists, and 17 stops. He's been electric, but Mike linebacker hasn't been the same story, with Jaron Kanek ranking 31st of 39 run-stopping linebackers. The secondary is doing their part flying to the ball as well, with 5 guys in the top 25. Starting boundary corner Woody Washington is 3rd. Starting strong safety Billy Bowman is 5th. Rotational strong safety Peyton Bowen is 6th. Rotational corner Caney Walker is 17th. And starting field corner Gentry Williams is 22nd. And all of their true secondary players are at least top half of 92 run-stopping secondary. That's impressive. The one weakness is their cheetah position with Dasan McCullough ranking 84th, but he's just now settling in. OU has been excellent at getting pressure on quarterbacks schematically, but they have struggled to convert that to concrete sacks, ranking 92nd in the nation in sacks per game. First on the interior, rotational defensive tackle Jonah Laulu has gotten after it, ranking 3rd with 1 sack and 10 total pressures. Rotational tackle Jordan Kelly ranks 11th with 6 total pressures, and starting nose Isaiah Coe ranks 12th, able to push the pocket. But then there's a huge drop-off after that of 50 total interior pass rushers. On the ends, rotational edge Trace Ford ranks 13th with 7 total pressures. Starting weak side edge Ethan Down ranks 14th with 3 sacks and 13 total pressures. But the player with the most upside ranks 15th in PJ Adebawore, winning on 19% of his rushes with only 54 reps. I'd watch for him to get more play as the season unfolds on passing downs. Starting strong side end Rondell Bothroyd should be subbed out on passing downs, ranking 33rd of 50 pass rushing edges because they have better options behind him on the depth chart. Venables' defense is elite at getting linebackers involved in the pass rush, and the Bash brothers on the second level don't disappoint. Will linebacker Danny Stutzman ranks 4th in the league with 2 sacks and 10 total pressures. And Mike backer Jaron Kanek ranks 11th of 28 pass rushing backers with 1 sack and 10 total pressures. They can both come flying up the A-gap at a moment's notice, and guards and quarterbacks have to be aware. The hybrid cheetah position is also used to send heat, but Dasan McCullough hasn't made a name here yet, ranking 10th of 12 pass rushing secondary players. The other members of the secondary don't get sent often enough to qualify, but I've seen Venables send a safety from depth to mix it up occasionally. Continuing the impressive turnaround from last season, the defense is also able to play in space and disrupt the pass. They're 16th in the country in opponent yards per pass, only giving up 6 yards a throw, and 15th in opponent passing success rate, just allowing 34% of passes to land. Like the rest of the Venables defense, they're hyper aggressive, and this has led to them playing the ball and not their assignment and giving up big chunk plays through the air. They're 88th in the nation in giving up the explosive pass, but this high-risk, high-reward style of play has benefited them as well, averaging an impressive 2 interceptions per game, good for 2nd in the nation. Live by the sword, die by the sword kind of thing. They can drop defensive ends on simulated pressure, fire zone type stuff, but the bulk of the work is the back 7 as usual. On the second level, they're less effective, with Mike Jaron only ranked 17th, but he is an elite athlete for the linebacker position, running a 10.3 700 meters, so he can close space well, and that's why you see him to the passing strength. Danny Stutzman is at 20th of 45 linebackers dropping back. In the secondary, field corner Gentry Williams ranks 17th. Rotational strong safety Peyton Bowen ranks 19th. Weak safety Key Lawrence ranks 25th. Boundary corner Woody Washington ranks 42nd. Strong safety Billy Bowman ranks 67th. And weak safety Reggie Pearson is back in the mix, but he ranks an awful 100th of 105 coverage defenders. So the back seven as a unit plays fast and they look to make plays on the ball. But guy for guy, there's no one in that elite top 5 or even top 10. You can find matchups and bait the safeties to come down. Zooming out, the Venables defense looks much improved both in the eye test and statistically this season. Now it's just time for them to test that against a top 10 offense in Texas. The Texas offense has a tall task ahead of them. Venables is going to reach into his bag of tricks. In the run, Texas is improving game by game in performance by the backs and the offensive line, with Texas averaging 5 yards a carry for 28th in the nation. Brooks is also one of the most explosive backs in the country, and OU has been staunch against the run, but they have given up big rushes here and there. Texas has to capitalize when those mistakes are made due to them lining up late. In the pass game, the offensive line and Quinn Ewers' heads have to be on a swivel. Not nervous, but alert to the pressure, and we especially can't allow the two linebackers to come through those A-gaps. Sark and Ewers have to have beaters ready to make them pay for over-aggression, or else they can overwhelm you. I like OU's secondary, but Texas has offensive weapons too, so I expect some back and forth, but Mitchell, Worthy, Whittington, and Sanders are going to win their fair share. Texas is averaging 9.2 yards per pass, good for 18th in the country. But this will be another important test like against Alabama. My major concern lies more in the rhythm of the Texas offense or the lack thereof. The Texas offense is streaky, ranking 50th in the nation in success rate, and we need a full 4-quarter effort. We can't just wait to put up 20 points in the fourth like we've been doing. Texas has to execute on first down to ensure we don't end up in 3rd and longs facing that blitz package. Overall, this is a really fun matchup. There are stats pointing to either side having the advantage. Yes, OU hasn't had a major test yet, but they've done exactly what they're supposed to do with that schedule. And you can't disregard their revenge motive for that 49-0 embarrassment last year. While Texas received pats on the back all season, OU has been sitting back waiting on this game. Who do I think wins? In this rivalry, who knows, and that's the fun of it. But I do know we get to see a hell of a game this Saturday between two good teams when the Longhorns and the Sooners go head-to-head in Dallas. Thanks for hanging out. Watch some more of my videos here. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you want to support quality Texas content. As always, hook 'em.